Les Goropat is a multifaceted artist who resides in Pelican Rapids, Minnesota. His work includes photography, printmaking, and fiber art, just to name a few. His passion for graphic design has been the root of his employment at Prairie Public since 1975. Here's a chance to get to know Les Goropat.
Cars are a great subject for photography or any other kind of artwork because they can stand still, they can move. We all have experiences with them. The kinds of design that's gone into cars is incredibly varied. The possibilities are really endless with that kind of photography. I started at Prairie Public right out of college, and I've been working at Prairie Public ever since then. I was hired basically as an art director, graphic designer at Prairie Public, working in marketing essentially, and that's still what I do. I do primarily print design. I've done some work with set design and those sorts of things, but most of what I do is promotional graphics of one sort or another, our monthly program guide magazine, advertising, packaging for our video products. I like to tell people that, I haven't had just one job. Every time the technology shifts, I get a new job because I get to learn new techniques and new styles, new ways of making ideas happen. I grew up in Bismarck, North Dakota, born on Flag Day. I'd been doing something with art ever since I could hold a pencil. My dad worked as an accountant. He'd bring home 3H pencils, the really hard ones, and he worked for a newspaper, so he'd bring home newsprint. So I had these really hard pencils on this really soft paper, and I had to figure out how to draw on them. So from a very young age, I developed a light touch with drawing. So that was really my first exposure to art. And in high school, I took some art classes, of course. I was also on the yearbook staff, which gave me a chance to start learning about photography, and spent a lot of time on the sidelines of football fields, taking photos of athletes coming at me with a double lens reflex camera, and they would go this way, and I would have to go that way to catch them. And so I kind of learned how cameras and lenses and light worked, which I continue to this day in photography. Like a lot of kids my age, at that time I was interested in the design of cars and what was done with them. The history of car design is something else that I find particularly interesting, to see what's actually been done with the basic form of 4 wheels and a seat. I could photograph the cars and document, here is a 57 Chevy and there is a 62 Studebaker, or whatever it is. Or I could go to a different level and be working with the colors and textures and shapes, which is what I prefer to do with photography with respect to cars. There's also a number of things you can do just studying the various kinds of textures and reflections and colors that you see on any given car. I could easily spend dozens of frames just photograph one single car. I'm not really taking a photo of the car itself, but I'm photographing what I see around the car, or the forms and the shapes that the car creates, or its relationship to its space, reflecting the sky. That's really part of the joy of looking at art. To see art, or to see the world in a different way through art, and to see what artists do with it. I think some of the most interesting feedback I've gotten recently was with a series of car photographs I did, in which I worked with the idea of the reflection that's on the surface of the car. When you have a reflection, of course, things are backwards or upside down. So I literally turned the photographs upside down to see what they would look like, and it would turn this photograph of a car into a landscape, essentially, with kind of these automotive trimmings around the horizon. One of my favorites that I've done recently is the Fargo Theater reflected in the hood of a Buick. What I like about it is kind of the ambiguity of the hood ornament on the car appearing in the horizon of the sky and trying to figure out what it is. It looks like a sun, it looks like a star, as well as just the icon of the Fargo Theater being part of the image. Another photograph that I like, very simple one, of the back window of happened to be a 51 Chevy, but the owner had put the words "Good night, Irene" on the back windshield of this car, and then reflected in the window was some beautiful clouds that particular day. In talking with the owner, I found out that that was the kind of car he had when he was courting his wife in the 50s and when that song, "Good Night, Irene," was popular. So that was why he did that. But for me, it was significant too, because my mother, who happened to be named Irene, had passed away about a year before that. So to me, it was kind of an expression of who she was and how she relates to my photography.
Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see.
Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008. The North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.